Hey, it's your girl, Miss Trina, with Chat with Trina. I want to take this opportunity to say thank you for your support by making the choice to click in. And today I am here chatting it up with my friend Raa Raa of the Zydeco All Stars. Hello, everybody. This is Miss Trina with Chat with Trina. And today, thank you. I don't know why I keep forgetting that, y'all. Thank y'all for making the choice to click in and chat with Trina today. It is Wednesday. It is after 7 o'clock because I wanted to go take care of my daddy and take my dad some spaghetti. I just told Raa Raa to take him some spaghetti. So he was very patient and let me be late today. So I appreciate that. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. It's been a very busy day. It felt almost like a Monday.
Yes, me. Okay, so I felt the same way. I was just running. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate you saying yes.
Thanks for finally inviting me.
But look, we were supposed to do us a cooking segment. We have to do that eventually, huh?
Yeah, I'll be glad to. I'll show them a little something.
Yes, being that it's so pretty outside now. Hopefully this summer we can do something like that. Tell us what your name is.
Raa Raa. Yeah, so okay, so it is Robert Carter, Robert Lavallee Carter. I carry two sir last names. So don't gonna be trying to look me up on LinkedIn and all this other stuff. But yeah, it's Robert Carter.
Okay, so I see doctor is in front of your name. Talk to us about that.
So most people don't know, but I have a doctorate degree in clinical psychotherapy.
Wow.
Yeah, I was afforded throughout the years of playing Zydeco and all of this. I got my bachelor's with two different concentrations, one being social services, administration, and theology, and then a master's in counseling. And then my doctorate degree in clinical psychotherapy, and I'm currently enrolled in a PhD program for leadership. Awesome.
Dr. Robert Carter. Okay. Yeah. Love it. Now that is definitely something that I didn't know, and I'm sure many others. Hello, Walter. Thank you for tuning in. Yes, that's not even a fun fact. That's a big fact that we didn't know, that some of us didn't know. So where are you from?
So I am based out of here in Houston. My family's from Lafayette, Louisiana, and Youngsville, Louisiana, which is in that whole Zydeco French connection, basically. So my family there, I can recall growing up, then, the only thing that was coming up in the house, French, that type of ordeal.
Oh, so yeah.
That was the French side, we called
them. Everybody comes from Lafayette.
Yeah, just about.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So where'd you go to school? If you don't mind me asking.
So, of course, I'm proud to say that I did go to Jack Yates High School here in Houston.
Okay. Was it the Lions?
Yes, ma'am. Don't yes, ma'am.
I come from Aldine, so I have no idea what some of the animals are.
Jack Yates. And I did a stint going to Texas Southern University of Houston, and I culminated and graduated from Southwestern Princeton University. Okay. And so, yeah.
Okay. Oh, so you got a few little brains up there.
A little something.
Okay. So when did Zydeco come into your life?
It was always there. Believe it or not, growing up, I couldn't stand it.
Really?
Couldn't stand it. It was always what they did. My grandparents in particular, my grandfather, they called him Daddy Coco. He would always cook food, do stuff. So would my aunts. And whenever they did this thing, it was always Zydeco music. And it was always Clifton, Chenier, Buckwheat, Zydeco, which is actually a cousin. And it just was one of those things. It was like a big family party every time they would get together. And then, of course, it just became the norm. Mm-hmm. And then I can recall certain events, Easter, we going to the rodeo in Liberty, that type of thing. And there it was.
And you just was listening just because you had
yeah.
Because that's what all they were gonna play.
Yeah, but and what was also funny too, Trina, is that I found out that I had a great grandmother who played accordion.
Get out.
She lived in Marksville, Louisiana, and they said she would sit on the porch and she played hymns. So I was like, it was interesting.
That is
And
interesting.
little French accordion, the single roll, actually. And it's in one of my great aunt's house. And I tried to get that accordion for the love of God. She would never let me get it. And,
so is it still in the family somewhere?
It's still in the family somewhere. Nobody won't tell me where it is.
Because they know you're going to get that thing.
Eventually I'm going to look on it, and put it in the glass.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah, that was my Nan's accordion. Because that's what they call it, Nan. So, yeah.
Say it again.
That's what they call my grandmother, Nan.
Oh, Nan. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's what they call it, Nan.
So when did you decide that you liked it then? When did you
So it just happened later. I think I got a toy accordion around 8, something like that. I messed with it a little bit. It was originally for my little baby brother. He didn't mess with it, so I played with it a little bit, thinking of it. And one of my best friends, who we grew up together in each other's houses. I mean, talking about from 3 and up. So his parents then were playing Zydeco, and which was Willie T and the Zydeco posse. And we always grew up in there with them rehearsing, doing the stuff. And so, he would play the drums. I would mess with the washboard. Then he also played washboard. And that kind of sparked a little interest. And then later on, I also had a cousin who played Zydeco, which is Jerome Baptiste. And, he was coming out playing a little bit. And then just all of a sudden, it just exploded. One day.
It was hard for you to get around it, too.
Yeah, so I was like, maybe I'll just see what happens. And after playing the washboard, I was saying, let me mess with the accordion, and say, boom, Money Feet, there it is.
So was the accordion, you didn't play the washboard first, did you?
Yeah, I played the washboard first.
Okay.
But I was already musically inclined because I played keyboards and piano.
Okay.
And a little bit of organ and stuff like that. But it didn't become more full for me until I started playing the accordion. And I started out like everybody else, getting a little toy single note, then the regular single note. And a good friend of mine who also played Zydeco, he's no longer here. They called him Mingo, Thomas Henry. He died. He played bass for a lot of folks, LT, myself, and some other cats. But he played accordion. He sold me my first real accordion. Never forget it, for $200. I was like 13.
So, can I ask that? Like, give me an average what a regular accordion costs. Like, I never asked that.
Well,
I guess because when you said
if you're gonna go with the beginner, the little Horner area that everybody get, it was about $300 something. I don't know. I bought my son one, maybe around $300-400.
Okay.
When you get to like the ones that's top notch, like most of us play, in particular, that's one my godson. I'm on the interview, son. I'm on the interview. Go on Facebook. Go on Facebook
and see him.
Like the ones that I have, just the single rolls, they normally about 2,000 or more, but the ones that I have recently were like 3,400 a piece, man.
Wow. Because when you said $200, I'm like, that's how much the accordions cost. Okay, so no.
Oh yeah, and then they'll start on like piano note and triple roll. Those, you're talking 4,000 and up.
There are a lot of people who want to be band leaders, and it takes certain things to be a leader of anything.
Absolutely.
Also takes to be a good follower to be a leader. People don't understand that, but. So I'm going to ask you, what made you decide to be a leader? And had you been in the band?
I'm a natural born leader. I was born to lead. It's just who I am. I've never been second to anything.
Okay.
Not to say that I can't. I believe that there's a pattern that everyone goes by, and you follow that pattern. In order to be a successful leader, you have to have great followership. I do believe that. It's just something that was in me. I've always been that way since a kid. I was always self-made. I'm gonna let you in on this. If my mom was here, she'd tell a story that they just knew I would always be something, because I used to dress up in little suits when I was younger, carry a briefcase, and put nothing but play money up in it. What? So, it was like, I'm gonna be this big top.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Just what it is. And so, and when the opportunity grants itself, you're going to either take it or you're going to just look at it and gaze. I'm
and
not just a gauge. I'm a, make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it takes.
And so in saying that, another thing that it does, and I've talked about this with other people, to be a leader of a band, a musical band, whether it's Zydeco or whatever, you also have to be able to purchase that expensive equipment.
Oh yeah, no doubt. There's guys out here now and who love the idea of being in the forefront, but don't understand all the turmoil that comes with it. Mm-hmm. And I think even some of the guys who are in the band don't really fully understand the full spectrum of business that goes into doing this. At the end of the year, we're hit with all kind of 1099s and all of this other stuff. Mm-hmm. And I even try to share some of the knowledge with some cats because, I'm fortunate to say that, I have a whole accounting system on how I do things when it comes to processing my payments, receiving deposits, taking care of taxation at the end, and identifying who played with me this particular date, and so forth and so forth. And then I have it listed under my LLC. So some things that becomes a business tax write-off for me. Yeah. Versus it being a loss or anything for me. But there's business that goes into this. And not to say that all of them have to be businessmen, but at some point you need to learn the business and perfect your business so you can stay in business and make more business. Absolutely. You have to have. And it's so funny you brought up the taxes. Now, I've never talked to anyone because I actually hadn't even thought about it until now. Mm-hmm. That's a big deal. Those taxes and 1099s. Yeah. You don't get at the end of the year. That's and just think about it. When you're making, big money on some of these shows, if they're restaurants or businesses or whomever, you're gonna get that 1099. You want to get that W-9. I definitely appreciate you bringing that side to it because I think sometimes just what you said, and I've thought about it, that even in what I do, people will talk, they don't understand that hosting events, just a gala or something, that I get a little bit more serious. People may say, well, she's tough to work with, but it's because we're doing business right now. I am the fun. It's business. And it's your brand. Huh? It's your brand. Yeah. And what happens is, what most people fail to realize, this is like this even with guys in the band. They can mess up on the show. They can do all kinds of stuff to sabotage the show. But those people are not going to blame them. They're not going to remember them because they didn't contract them. They contracted you. Exactly. And so when your name is in the forefront, you're going to be the catalyst or the sacrificial lamb. Mm-hmm. And that goes within the business. So that's why it is so important. And I can't stress this enough to any Zydeco musician or any musician, period, or entertainer, is to have integrity in what you do. And make sure that you take care of business. Yeah, it's important. And I say that about contracts. I think that it goes both ways with these contracts, that, you as the artist need to, that's right. We need to agree on this contract and we need to abide, because at the end of the day, when somebody wants to book you, you looking around here wondering why people aren't booking you, you got to think about, did you do what you did, what the contract said you were going to do? Right, or paying you. Pay you exactly too. And that's one of the things that, I ain't leaving the house without a contract signed. It's just what it is. It took a long time to learn that, but I'm listen, one way or the other, baby. It's gonna come. I'm gonna email it to you, and then I'll have an electronic invoice that follows, so that way you can make sure there's no excuse for you not to pay no deposit, because the deposit is what confirms the full fulfillment of your contract. Exactly. And we just gotta, and again, for the performer, yes, but also on our side of the people that are planning the event, you've got to do your part too. If we agree to something, we got to agree to it, because not that someone will go out and badmouth you, but if somebody comes to someone, Trina, who people come to all the time to say, hey, I booked this person. I want to book this person. Can you contact them? Or the big one for me is, how are they to work with? Especially club owners who are business-minded people. They will ask me, how are they? And for the most part, I've had great experiences. But I have had experience to where someone did not abide by the contract, and I had to say, I'm not saying don't hire them, but you need to make sure that you go over the contract with them line by line. And that's all they needed to know. Right, because whatever's in that contract is what's supposed to be followed. And just like I have things in there about, of course, the acts of God, rain, storm, different things of that nature. How do you handle an event that, is detrimental to your property, weatherization, things of that nature. Those are things that have to be addressed. Are you playing an event and all of a sudden a fight break out, and the show is disrupted? Well, you haven't been paid yet. Well, no. I gotta have mine when I show up, when that equipment is brought out.
Bam.
Brian Jack said it best, better have my money.
My money.
Yes. A lot of younger guys coming up and picking up the accordion and doing all this, and they're looking at the glamorization of things, but don't understand the true essence of what it takes to do this. And I'm always making myself available for those that are willing to listen. It's more than just picking up a box and singing. It's a lot that goes into it. It's a lot into dealing with personalities, persons, characters, and then the business side of it. I will encourage, and I can't help but encourage some of you younger guys, if you're in high school or whatever, just got out of there, do something positive with the money you make to further educate yourself, whether it's going to school, getting a trade, whatever, because you never know when these might give out. God forbid they get cut, this, that, whatever. And you got to have something to fall back on. I shared this with someone about a few years ago. And he said this, he said, Zydeco is going to take care of me. I believe that. Okay, that's fine. And he's doing a very good job. He's performing a lot of places. But biblically, the scripture says to everything, there's a season. And what will you do when that brook runs dry? You gotta have a backup plan. You gotta have something to fall up on. And like I tell people now, it don't hurt my feelings if my phone don't ring and they call Raa Raa to play. Raa Raa's comfortable. Raa Raa can stay at home and play.
Exactly.
But check still comes in the mail.
Yeah.
So you gotta have something to follow.
How did you come up with the name of your band? And how did you become Raa Raa?
So I had a cousin when I was smaller. She couldn't say Robert. She was just always Raa Raa, so whatever. So I took it and ran with it. It was just Raa Raa. And when I originally started, I'll never forget this. It was originally Raa Raa the Zydeco Click. Me and Marcus talk about that all the time. Every time we get together, Marcus all the one. Raa Raa the Zydeco Click. Raa Raa. I still got the gold card. I had a gold card that said Raa Raa the Zydeco Click. Church and stuff. I'll never forget it. But that's what it was. Then I went to Raa Raa the Zydeco Rebels. And then Paul just kept on with the Zydeco Rebel stuff. So I just said, hey man, let me just let them have it. And later I went with the Zydeco All Stars. And because I felt like I was a star in my book. I was talking to Steph Rito the other day. I said, I wonder will I have the platform to really go in like I really want to go in on tonight. Yeah. Because I think there's a lot that need to be said to bring much education and history to the table. Yeah, I think, we've got a lot of unknown, I don't want to say unknown, but disputed talent and guys who paved the way for many of us to do what we do in Houston, that you don't hear their names. Yeah. People just rarely talk about them. And then these young guys come up and they really just don't know. And I can recall at the time, there was like, and I'm saying, even though I'm a younger guy under 40, I was around a lot of the old heads who were here, who really was like the creme de la creme or the top echelon of the Houston Zydeco scene.
Really?
And, yeah. And I mean, when you think of places like the Silver Slipper, the Continental, Zydeco Ballroom, Mr. Gino's, places like that where you can see these guys on a regular basis.
Let me just say this. This platform is your platform. Anyway, I want anyone to know when they come on here. So I make up questions. I have these questions. My questions are basic questions, but I do hope that they always carry you into what you want to express on here. That makes sense. I am very interested in knowing who are some of the unmentioned, I shouldn't say unmentioned.
Okay.
Zydeco, please talk to me.
So we can go back to now. Of course, one of the ones I'm going to say. There are two of them who I got my entertainmentship from. When I say this, because I also was billed as the hardest working man in Zydeco Southern Soul and Blues. All right, but I got it from two guys: Bone Tone Mickey, Zydeco Hot Steppers, and Jabbo, Zydeco Playboys. Years ago he was shot, tried to take his life, but God saw him through it. Those guys were entertainers. Bone Tone Mickey, anybody in Houston who ever got a start, 9 times out of 10, Bone Tone Mickey helped them. Yeah. Oh, Uncle Mickey. I mean, it's just what it is.
Yeah.
Wilfred Chavis, Uncle T. Let me tell you something.
He's from Houston?
They're originally from Louisiana, but they were the ones in the Houston scene. Bone Tone and Wilfred probably was some of the first outside of Clifton Chenier to be in Houston, but I mean talking about long-time residents. Wilfred Chavis, he's gone to glory now, but he was one of the ones that, while in particular I played the piano accordion, he was one of the ones that encouraged me, sent me on shows of his that he couldn't make. He said, "Well, I can't play these gigs. I need you to go." And I'm like, "What you mean?"
Not a lot no more.
yeah, and he said, "But you got to play the piano accordion." I said, "Piano accordion? I ain't playing no piano accordion." I messed with it a little bit because I played piano.
Right.
And that's another thing too in itself. When people see the piano accordion, you read their faces like, "Oh, here you go." They taboo it as this old time stuff. But you can do everything on a piano note that you can do with a triple roll accordion or a single roll to an extent. Except it just, you got more keys and it's more of a chromatic sound. Whatever goes in, whether you push, whether you pull, it becomes the same. I really have a big thing about the cultural aspect of it. And that's why I appreciate people like Wilfred Chavis, Bone Tone Mickey, Lil Willie Davis, Jabbo, Paul Richard, he was another one. L.C. Donato, Mr. Lonnie Mitchell. I mean, I can go on and on. Right. Dan Rubin. These were guys who, they were superior. They were awesome. They would pick up a box and you just do this. Just listen to them. I mean, these guys were it. They dominated this scene. You couldn't go into Frenchtown over there and not hear them or see them. Or back when Papa Do's was doing bands and Acha Falaya, they had that. Then they had it was, what was it? Copeland's New Orleans. Remember,
Copeland's not too long ago.
Yeah. Then you go back and you start thinking about the Rawhide with Miss Kitty, 2234. Vernell's Ice House.
Yeah.
I mean, just so many of these places. Yeah. CC's Hideout. And I was thinking about that, believe it or not, before Brian Jack ended up making it a hot spot on Sundays, I was the first band to do CC's Hideout right there on Belford. And guess what else, Trina?
Huh.
The Red Rooster.
Really?
Back when it was on Martin Luther King, this was right before Tito ended up getting it, was a lady named Lynette.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She had it. And we did Zydeco Sundays at the Red Rooster.
Are you serious?
I was the first person to do that. And this was back in the day. Now, mind you, I'm under 40. I was still, in school.
Yeah.
So, but most people don't know that. And that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of history to a lot of the stuff that people don't know.
I wasn't really into Zydeco, but I knew that I could go to a chop flyer. There was going to be this band playing. It was going to be sounding good. So I guess I'm thinking, what do you think happened? Like, what do you think happened? Not necessarily to those people playing, but why isn't Zydeco out and about like it used to? We're here or there. I mean, it's here or there, but not like it was,
I think because, and I'm going to be careful when I say this, because it's not to be offensive, but I think that we are losing in touch with our our cultural awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, the reason I still play Zydeco music is for a cultural perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It was stuff that was passed on to me. You know, I'm a fourth generation Creole. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in that lifestyle. I speak Creole French. You know, I cook that way. Everything from making boudin to etouffee, the whole 9 yards. I think we're somewhat losing our cultural perspective. The music has evolved.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's nothing wrong with evolution, as long as you can still be culturally conscious.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Our music has changed. It has changed. And what I'm afraid of, and people don't have to agree with me, but there are some that do. They may not say it in public, but they do. Is that sometimes it's hard to distinguish our music from anything else. There was a time when Zydeco came on, man, you know, it was Zydeco. It was it had this something to it that distinguished it from everything else. And now, you know, of course, with the R&B-ish and the hip hop and some of the other things that we put into it. Now, what it has done, it has attracted and caught the eyes of a much younger generation. I'm talking about way younger than me, which is cool. But now what happens is when they dominate the scene and even the way that they dance now, you know, some of the folks who would tend to go to the Zydeco wouldn't go because of you know, and then what it attracts and all. And so what I'm saying is that we at some point need to kind of get back to our cultural preservation. Because if not, like a lot of the songs, you know, some of the guys still don't sing in French or whatever. I'm not saying that's a requirement, but yeah, you know, let me hear "Et toi," you know,
or even
"Fais pas ça."
You're right. You don't hear that anymore. I talked to Joe Norman one day, and I was just telling. He was just saying that, you know, to pay homage to the people before you, still put in a waltz or two somewhere, like
which is it was another thing. You know, barely you go to a dance and somebody plays a waltz. The only time they would really do it is if they went, you know, if they played at a Catholic hall or something like that, or whatever. And you know, me, I buck the grain a little bit. Whenever I play somewhere, I don't care if it's Jackson or whatever. Every once in a while, I'm gonna do something old school or whatever, and I'll tell the people, "Jeff I don't care." You know, I'm gonna do it because this is our heritage. You know, if we don't hold fast to it, no one else will. And guess what? When we die, it goes with us who had it. And like Buzu said, hey, keep up the tradition. You know, there should be some cultural aspect that we uphold, that we keep, or it's going to be a lost thing.
One of the comments that we got, I thought was good, from Donnie Lewis. To grow and evolve is wonderful. However, don't disregard the foundation.
Absolutely. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I am with you.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying is let's not disregard it. You remember Keith Frank put in one of his songs, he said, you can't run this because you're not from this. Now go sit on the bench and work on your French.
I've never heard it, but love it. Do you think that there is a difference in Creole and Zydeco? And
it is.
So can you help us?
So you have it's on the musique de Creole, which is the Creole music, which is similar to what Cajun music is.
Okay.
And then you have Zydeco, which is, you know, upbeat, fast tempo. Musique de Creole or Creole music, of course, distinguishes itself from Zydeco because it was traditionally played, you know, with the accordion, the fiddle, and a triangle. Versus Zydeco is mostly just the accordion and the frottoir, the washboard, you know, for rhythm. You know, that's
the washboard has always been there, except in Creole.
Except in Creole.
Okay.
Now some try to incorporate it, but they had the triangle and the violin, the fiddle. So in those days, you know, when they did the la-las and all of that, that's what it was, the accordion, the triangle, the fiddle. And which also introduced, of course, the Cajun music. And then you had the Zydeco, which Clifton kind of built it and coined it. But they were saying Zydeco for years because it was kind of like a little passe or a password, so to speak, of when somebody's, you're gonna do a dance at somebody's house. Hey, Chad, we're doing a Zydeco at Nonk Adam's house or something like that or whatever. And that's where they would go. And so then when Clifton built it, he still distinguished the music, because when he played his music, and I don't know if you ever caught on to this, me and CJ talked about this, his son, but whenever Clifton said let's Zydeco, it was always just a washboard, accordion, and the drum. He didn't include the electric guitar and the bass. When he say, okay, well, now we're going Zydeco. Now he played what he considered to be his French music and Zydeco, but when he coined Zydeco, it was just the accordion, the washboard, and the drum. For the Zydeco side of it, Clifton, because he was a blues man, and wanted rock and roll, and so he wanted to incorporate the style of like Fats Domino and Professor Longhair into the style of the music that he grew up playing. And so, of course, when he went to record for R. Hooley, Chris Sackridge, the guy who founded R. Hooley, was like, okay, Cliff, this is what we want. So Cliff thing was, okay, I tell you what, if this is what you want, I'll record all this stuff, this old French stuff that you want to hear on one side, but on my side, you need to let me rock and roll this. And that's how that happened.
Wow. What I liked about your music is that because Curly Taylor does it as well. And I don't know about other bands, but you guys play a little bit. You got some little soul in it. You got a little I don't want to say you play R&B, but you have blues. It's more blues in your music. And so I was telling her that. I said it's like before I came into the new school music because I didn't like Zydeco, and then someone did take me to see J. Paul. Yeah, and so I was like, oh, okay, I can handle this. It don't all sound the same. But then as I've learned and been talking to people and I'm able to hear different music, I'm like, okay, it does not sound the same because different people put different in it. You know? So,
yeah, and see, like I guess too, because of the influence, like Paul, and what I appreciate about Paul created a new retrospect or dynamic into doing the music. And so a lot of folks, even who were young, like myself or whatever, started doing it. When I first kind of came out and I was hanging around Paul and we were doing the double shows at Mr. A's and all of this stuff, I was there. That was my niche. But what happened is one of the people I was telling you about, Wilford Chavis, started sending me around a different demographic of people to play for. And the money was just as green, and it didn't require too much of you. They were literally, and I'm gonna tell you what really did it to me. These people asked me to play T-Na-Na, Ya-Ya, and Toot like 5 or 6 times, and I really? Toot is a it's one of those things I'm like, please don't ask me to play it.
Yeah,
but they had tips like $700. Like outside of what they were paying the band.
What they were paying you.
So it was like every time I played Toot, somebody put $100 in. And so it was like,
come on.
Yeah, so okay, here we go again. So it was like one of those things. But for me, I guess, and then I was raised up, like I said, around grandparents, real Frenchy. And so they would play a lot of Clifton, a lot of Buckwheat, a lot of Furnace Arsenal, just a lot of that Dupsy. And so that type of trend was kind of more of the style I kind of went with after a while because I love music.
Right.
Like I play outside of that, I play jazz, blues, Southern soul. Recently, I started kind of tapping into the Southern soul market because our shows do a lot of it, and a lot of people were like, man, can you do more of this? And, I had a voice where I kind of sound like Johnny Taylor or Bobby Bland or something like that. So I do it, or Bobby Womack. And what that did do for me was it kept me playing when most Zydeco musicians wouldn't be playing, because I would be able to appeal to a diverse crowd because of my musical diversity. And it may not work for everyone. It works for Raa Raa. And, you know, as long as it works for me, I'm good with it.
Right.
And, you know, sometimes, though, it's bothersome because you look and you hear people say certain. Matter of fact, this past weekend, we were at the Simeon Stables, and we had a very good time. I appreciate them for bringing me on. It was the night that Jay Paul and I played. And that was a wonderful, such a wonderful lineup.
Wow.
Because I was glad to see Paul and them in here to play, and they did an awesome job as usual. I mean, you know, it was packed. People were dancing. Hell, I even danced. I mean, you know.
So you just
what?
Really? Okay.
What?
I just always think people that play Zydeco, y'all can't dance.
I came out of retirement. My leg was hurting, but I can't. But so we played, and they specifically said, you know, they wanted me on the show because my diversity, and they asked, you know, hey, can you do a lot of this Southern soul? And so I did, and you know, Frankie Beverly and Mays, we did some King George. If you're gonna leave, go ahead and leave, baby. One thing that I found, you know, and you know, and it was awesome, and people vibed to it. People was good. But one lady said this. She said, "Well, Paul's coming on. He's gonna play my kind of Zydeco." I said, "What's your kind of Zydeco? What's your kind of Zydeco?" Believe it or not, Zydeco is Zydeco. And don't get it twisted. Many of us who play the box can really play any and everything, all of it. It's just that every show is going to be different. But it does become a problem when people have to question what kind of Zydeco. A person called me to come to San Antonio. And the gentleman said, "Hey, before you come, what type of Zydeco do you play?" What type of Zydeco do I play? Yeah, I want to know what style you play. Well, I play all of it. You don't do all that hip hop stuff, do you? I said, we do what's necessary. But it's just the fact that is
right.
Know, whether it's our folks or other folks.
Definitely.
Somebody asked me to play and it's actually my favorite song by Clifford Chanel, and it's "I'm a Hog for You." And the man said it in French. He said, "Can you play Mon Couchon pour toi?" And I guess he was trying me because I had the big accordion.
Yeah.
And of course, I played it. And it's one of my favorite songs. Matter of fact, I had recorded the song again with Lil Nate's father, Big Nate. We actually did a duo on recording it. I did the English part, and he went on and did the French part. Because I wanted to also like highlight him as a senior statesman in Zydeco. I mean, I could have did them both. Definitely. But it was just the fact that he was, you know, really thrilled and honored that I asked him. And I was like, I'm thrilled and honored that you accepted, because we were recording in Lil Nate's studio. Okay. And I asked him, you know, would you like to do that? And we recorded it. I haven't released it at all. And we recorded this maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Why don't you release it?
I'm gonna do it. It's a lot of music I've recorded this thing.
It's the most challenging about this business, mainly Zydeco?
The most challenging, I think, is probably musicianship. You know, the guys that you have play with you, when they tend to play with a lot of other people. I think that's probably going to be the most challenging, because getting gigs and stuff, I have no problem with that. Getting money, no problem with that. I get along with everybody. I like just about all the musicians, cool with many of them. I think the most challenging part is making sure that you have the right musicians that fit
when you're playing,
what you're trying to do, and understand where you're going. I think for some musicians, they tend to get impatient if you're not playing every weekend, because this might be all that they do, their livelihood. So they try to play every day if they can, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but you know, it's just depending on where you are and what you do. I mean, like, I think one of the biggest things for me is because I have so many different business and things going on that I don't really dedicate myself full time to Zydeco like I could. I mean, I do play enough. I'm playing almost every weekend, just about every other weekend, and then I play a lot during the week, and sometimes I just don't advertise it.
Right.
But that can be the challenging piece, because what happens is you get people that you get into a groove with, then they go somewhere else, and the dynamic change, or then they go off somewhere, and then when you say, well, let me go ahead and get somebody else to start playing, and then whatever they were trying to do fall off, then they're like, well, we got this weekend. What are we? What you mean? What are we? Who? What I got?
Right.
That type of thing. So that's really the only, I think, for me, the challenging piece is seeing, make sure you have the people that are really, really rocking with you.
Okay. And what is the most rewarding for you?
Seeing people enjoy themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the things that I take pleasure in. Like, I get my energy off the crowd. If they enjoy it, if they like it, I love it.
Okay.
It's my joy juice.
Your joy juice. What made you and your team decide to take the roundup?
So it was actually my play brother Trey who wanted to go and pursue the roundup, and he called me over there. He said, because he really didn't know what the roundup was at the time. And
there's the difference in the last round.
Yeah, so he's one of those intuitive spirits that whenever he sees something, Raa, what you think? Let's just do it. And so when it came about, he's like, man, let's do it, man. I'm gonna do it, man. I want to do it. Come on, get in. Let's do this. I'm like, you sure you want to do this? Because club business is something else. And of course, I had R&L over on Tidwell and some other things. And so we did it. And I went in as a team player. Okay. And thank God that the roundup is back open. Everybody was happy and delighted to see it open. And he's doing a good job of keeping it moving, keeping it going. Now I'm working on the next project. And
before you go with that, let me just give you some kudos. Well, you and what is it, Trey?
Trey.
Kudos. Just like with Chris of Manai.
Yeah.
I mind you, I love all bands.
Well, Chris, yeah.
But I do appreciate the fact that you guys open up your doors and give opportunities to a variety of different bands.
Right.
That means the world. Nobody probably cares what it means the world to me, but it means the world to me. To see.
Well, the comment was made to us once about with someone who was a little disgruntled too, and they were saying, well, you're getting all these no-name bands. But the thing about it is, and I'm a very biblical person, of course, the background in the church, and the Bible says it's not small beginnings, and I believe everybody needs a chance. Yeah. Trey and I both, we come out of church and we were both musicians. And that was the thing, is giving other people an opportunity. It wasn't that, nobody else larger could come.
Right.
Which, occasions we did do that. And the reality of it is that everybody needs an opportunity. And these people are going to be who's up and coming, and it is what it is.
It is what it is. And these are some talented musicians. Right. Let me just say, there are some talented musicians. Mind you, I love all of them, but there are some who I try to say right, because there are some bigger bands that sometimes gets upset because they think I'm saying something different than what I'm saying. Not saying anything bad about. I love and I don't want to use the word bigger, more popular. I don't want to use that either, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
I like all the bands. I go, I see them, but there are some bands that I know of that I've heard who are just so talented, and they just need the opportunity to be seen.
Absolutely.
And I would say to the fans out there as well is you also need to help give those bands a chance by going to see them. And
what's so funny is, and please forgive me for cutting you off.
You're fine.
Apologize. What is so funny is that see, people are on this popularity type of ordeal. Because let me tell you, you can take two guys, they can play the song the same way, same key accordion. But if this one is known more, oh, he was so good and talented, and the other person, but they did the same thing. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is, you know, he had a beginning one day. And so this other person deserves the same opportunity.
Absolutely.
I think people are very critical
Mm-hmm.
of most folks. You know, I've even seen it done to me. I don't mind it. You know, it don't hurt my feelings. You know, I feel like I stay in a lane all by myself. I'm not going to put too much of effort in trying to be anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because then there's no effort in being me. I'm authentically me. I'm officially me. And besides me, there is no other. And I applaud every man for what God has given them and how they take their craft and they do it. We're all in the same boat together because we play this genre of music. And if we all, I think, come together and promote each other and help each other, support each other, and not dog anyone out, I think we could be on a great start or something.
Because even as you mentioned earlier about those greats, your Jabos, your Bonton Mickeys, your Clifton Cheniers, who, from what I've heard from you and others, they let people get on the stage. They gave people opportunities to play where they may not have been able to play before. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. That's what happened like with Wilfred Chavis before he died. And actually, you know, he has a grandson who's starting to play now, Little Walter, and the Texas Zydeco band. You'll be seeing more of him. And then another one of my godsons, Mr. Creole and the Zydeco Connection, Malcolm Jamal. You see him all over. You got, you know, people like Lance, all these guys. You know, matter of fact, I think I did in my club. I did something for Lance, gave him a night to come play because nobody was booking and do some stuff. And you know, my thing is, I don't want to see these young guys disheartened or give up because they're not given an opportunity. Somebody has to give them an opportunity. That's what we did at R&L Sports Bar. That was also done at the Roundup. These guys will get an opportunity. Another very talented guy, Lil Jam, you know, just awesome, just talented.
I see he decided to come back and play. I saw you had him on a show. Has he performed yet?
Yeah, he was there, I think, last week or so.
I was excited to see that because I saw his post. So when I saw you guys had him, I said, "Oh, great!" So someone got to him.
Yeah, these guys. I mean, they're awesome. They're good, and you just what you do is you pay it forward. You open the door.
Pay it forward.
Let me tell you what happened with most business owners is they're gonna look for who's gonna bring the crowd.
Yeah.
You know who's gonna do, you know, whatever. And they don't mind paying it as long as they can make it. But sometimes you can't really look at it like that because if you book them, you need to already have the money to pay them. That's just bottom line. Yeah. But that's what most of them look for, rather than look at a person, you know, at the band's worth and talented. You know, that was what we looked at because we were musicians. You know, we get it, we understand it. And hopefully, even with business owners that are listening, would at least have enough decency to try and meet these guys halfway because they're getting started. And you never know who's going to be the next biggest thing. And you could have been the person that gave them a shot before they got big.
And I'll say that because I try to always be fair to both sides. You know, I know that there's some club owners, they just can't afford to in their words, to have a band, to say I have a band. However, I will say Tito Alam, rest in peace, my friend, especially R&B. He has done that and he believes in that. Let me give these people a chance. And he has even built bands. Like he'll see some lady that's with a band, maybe that right. Her. He'll pull people and make a band, you know? So that was something he also believed in. But you're right. There are so many, and of course, I'm not going to say any other names, but there's a particular venue that I know right now that I know that they can afford to have certain bands, but they'll want a band that costs $300-400. It's like, well, who you gonna get? Yeah. How they gonna pay the other band members?
Yeah.
You know, so that
especially with the inflation of everything, even chicken has went up.
Yeah, they gotta have gas to get to your venue. So and what that's $25 a gallon. Yeah. Chenier. Okay, so he's Louisiana, but when you talk about him with Texas and Houston, you just mean he was someone that was prominent here.
No, Clifton worked in Port Arthur and he lived in Houston.
Oh, Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Every time people talk about it, I don't know why I always thought he was a.
He wrote a song, Houston Blues.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Yeah, he
Okay.
played at the Continental Ballroom and the Silver Slipper.
Now, what was the Continental Ballroom?
The Continental Zydeco Ballroom on Collinsworth. That's where everybody who was anybody. I came in on the last tail end of it. With Miss Doris McLean over there. Yeah, Roy Carey was out. Man, you go see Roy Carey. You see just everybody. They all be there.
Yeah.
They all played there.
With all of the violence that's been going on with some of the trail rides, and I don't like to offend anybody. Everybody said, well, y'all can't keep blaming trail rides. However, that's kind of
but it needs to be talked about. So let's dive into it.
Dive into that. What do you think that there is something that we can do to, and when I say we, I mean in people that are hosting these things in order to stop the violence? What is it that we are missing to where we can't get it back to being a family-oriented event again?
I think because the time and culture has changed. It's not what it used to be. It used to be, well, your pawpaw, Momo, and then everybody came and everybody had a lawn chair, or everybody, it was something that everybody came to. And I think as they started dying out and more of the younger people started kind of coming in, with that comes other things. I'm not saying that I'm blaming the younger demographics.
Right.
So no one get that twisted. But a lot of the influence, that comes with that sometimes brings about a lot of different things. I think for those who are throwing those type of events, y'all got to excuse my father's calling me from Louisiana. I'm telling him I can't talk right now.
Okay.
I think that a lot of the people, when you throw events, have to look into every precaution you can to minimize those type of risks. And I know it's very hard. I was very, very pleased when I went to Simeon Stables event this weekend and we went through the front, how everybody that came in had to come in through metal detectors.
Love it.
And I was like, okay, that's a start, because at least that deals with the weapons and then getting stuff checked and all this other stuff. Although that does not still ascertain if someone wants to fight with their hands. And, of course, some people when they drink, but I just think, having enough security in place is as feasible as possible. Yeah. But try to promote a well atmosphere, I think, can be a start. But again, there's no right or wrong.
No right or wrong
to this. Yeah.
It's just so for me, I agreed. I think I said metal detectors to someone, and someone said people pass things over the gate or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's a start. And sometimes when you do advertise that it's going to be a lot of security and you actually really show that, it will run some of those people to wherever they do that at, somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Well, I was at one trail ride that I was very, that I went and played at, and I was very shocked because when I got there, and it was way, I don't know if it was past Jasper or where, I forgot where it was, As long as that check clear, I'm coming. And we went, and they had all of, like, the county police was out there, and they were all the other color too.
Yeah.
So they was gonna make sure you ain't coming over here.
Ain't coming with that.
And there was not one issue. He was drinking, having a good time, and it was wonderful. And
hello, sir. How are you? I'm so and so.
Yeah, you ain't cutting up out here.
Not at all. And that too. If there's more regular, same thing, something like that. Not necessarily saying we can't have our own, but having the real, actual policemen. No offense to others, but the people that you just may have to pay that money. And I feel like if you pay the money, like for now,
if you make the money, you can pay it.
I think so too. I'm just trying to help them out. I'll try to help, but if they take the money and put it into the security, make that one of the top budget line items.
Yeah,
it would definitely help if nothing else, and it would give an example. It would, I think, it would deter some of the people that are coming to start trouble. Because from my understanding, what I hear is that sometimes people have a beef and they decide that's where they're going. Well, we gonna go there and get the beef taken care of.
Yeah, and what happens too, just like we discovered in some places, They'll have it one other place, and then when they know you're going over, okay, well, we're gonna take care of this over there. And what that does is then when this place has to put so much other things in place because of it, everybody upset and mad. But I'm like, but this is the reality of it. It's for your safety.
It's for your
It's
safety.
for your, you know, it's a benefit to your safety.
It's a benefit.
And that's all we can do.
And don't y'all out there that's doing some of this, don't be screaming when prices go up on these events, because people may have to raise their prices to get that security they need.
Yeah, the security is really cost. I mean,
costs.
you know, it costs.
It costs.
Per officer.
Per officer.
Silver Slipper. It's currently not open right now. You know, COVID.
Hey, Ed.
They went on and shut it down due to COVID. And most of the people who went to the Silver Slipper, it had a very dynamic demographics because it was a mixture of older, older crowd, middle age, and sometimes some younger, but never too young.
Right.
We're talking about like, you know, maybe 30 and up. Very rare you see someone 25, and it always stayed back. $5 in the dough, chicken wings, fried fish, pork chops.
Oh, they was feed. Oh, you can eat in there.
And the coldest beer you can get in the city. I don't care what nobody say. Back then they used to also have boudin and hamburgers and all of that. And it was just one of those places where everybody could go to. And they used to have Zydeco on Friday and on Sundays.
And if I remember, because I think I've been there once, was it made like the Mr. A's, like the dance floor to the right?
The dance floor, yeah, to the right.
Okay, yeah. I remember now.
It has a dance floor to the right, and the floor light up in a few places. It has a big mirror on the wall, so you can look at yourself while you.
What I want to mention is that when people come, they think because you're your friend and you're the manager, you're the owner, whatever, that they should get it free, or they should get a discount, or they should get a drink because they're your friend.
Everybody gotta pay.
Huh?
Everybody
gotta pay. So you don't have an issue because they know straight up.
You gotta pay. You know, I mean, it's a business. It's not me individually. You know, sometimes, you know,
if I want to.
Yeah, but everybody gotta pay.
Yeah.
This is what it is. You know, friendship don't pay bills.
Mm-hmm.
Chris and I always remember, we got enough friends. We got enough friends. I need a little money.
Oh, you sound just like him. You sound just like him. I didn't hear the name of what you said earlier. Something's coming.
So this is it's actually a business that I've had for quite a while. We were based in Liberty. It is named after my great grandfather. It is Pop Bijou's Creole Shack. Pop Bijou's Creole Shack. You know, we do everything from the crawfish. You know, you can go to BB's and you can go to wherever you want to go. That's fine. But I guarantee you, ain't nobody gonna do it like Pop Bijou's. We gonna do it the way it's supposed to be done. You can get all the dust that you want on it, but it's gonna be some liquefied dust on the inside. You're gonna taste it from inside and out.
And outside.
Rooter to the tutor of the crawfish.
So when is this happening?
Homemade boudin, all of that.
When is this happening?
So I'm planning on doing like a little soft opening this weekend. We're gonna be opening Friday through Sunday.
Okay.
And this is in partnership with my big brother over at Big Belly's, Mr. Kevin Smith.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you know, he was Big Belly, I was Junior Belly.
I saw you take a picture of something with Big Belly the other day, didn't I?
I think you did.
Posted something.
Yeah. So he had created a food court and
on Reed Road.
On Reed Road. So that's where you'll find us. And we're gonna have live DJ, even live bands on Sundays. You know, it's going to be a wonderful atmosphere because it's going to be early during the day where everybody can come get the best in crawfish. And I have, you know, the wonderful size crawfish. We bring in crawfish every week from Louisiana, straight from the farm, graded and all. So even people who want to buy live crawfish, if you want to buy stacks, you can buy them from us. We're doing homemade boudin, you know, our own homemade sausage, which will be in the gumbo and the red beans. It's going to be all Creole based.
Okay.
Everything is Creole based, even corn mock chew. You know, it's all Creole based, and everything is made from scratch. There's no mixes, none of that. Everything is from scratch. And
Okay.
doing Friday through Sunday. And then I think we're going to probably start doing some Wednesdays. And Wednesdays, I'm going to just do a crawfish special all day, like $5.99 a pound all day on Wednesday, starting from 3 until sold out.
Very, very, very last question.
Okay.
What do you do with all of this stuff you do? What do you do to chill and relax?
Cook is
Therapeutic.
It's very therapeutic. I got that from my grandmother. But realistically, what I like to do, I'm gonna let y'all in on this secret if some of y'all don't know already, but many of you already know. I love to go just listen to some nice music. And I'm talking about like cafe hole in the wall type.
Oh, what?
Johnny Taylor, you know, that type of, and smoke a cigar and a nice drink.
Okay.
And I just wind down and talk with friends and stuff. It's just, I'm a people's person. I'm, Southern hospitality. Just love to just sit and chill. And after this wind up, I'm going to go have a cigar in a certain place. So if anybody want to join me, just hit me on the phone. I'm going to tell you where I'm going.
Yeah, he can't tell that. I hear too many people might show up. The wrong people might show up.
No. If y'all show up, I need y'all to show up at Pop Beach Juice, not no other place.
There you go. Well, Raa Raa, I want to say thank you so much. I really enjoyed this. My cars, I didn't need those.
It just flowed, didn't it?
It was great. I really liked it. I learned a lot. I love your transparency. Yeah, this was good. We gotta definitely do this again. Well, thank you. I really appreciate you. This was great, and I had a lot of viewers, so I'm hoping everybody took something away. I know they did, and I'm going to edit this. All right, Raa Raa, thanks, and we'll see you soon at Bijou's.
All right, I love it.
It took me that long to say Ardouin right. So, good night.
All right, y'all. We love y'all. Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
All right, bye.
All right.
Thank you again, Raa Raa, for your honesty and transparency. But most of all, thank you for all of the knowledge of the Zydeco history that you've given us. I really appreciate that. And guys, I hope that you were able to take some good information away with you regarding Zydeco and its history. Raa Raa, good luck on all of your things, all the events you have coming up. And y'all, make sure y'all get out there and support Raa Raa and the things that he's doing in our community. Don't forget to go to youtube.com/chatwithtrina. Subscribe and then hit that little bell so you can be notified when I upload a new video. And guys, thank you for making the choice to click in.